Well, hello there, recreational therapists. My name is Nathan Lamaster, and this is the Smart Start Recreational Therapy Insights YouTube channel from Smart CEUs Hub. Thank you guys for coming by for episode number 3. This week we're going to be talking about activity analysis and breaking down what that is and what goes into it and why recreational therapists need to be competent in this skill to be effective as recreational therapists. Last week, if you guys weren't aware, you might want to watch that video. We talked about the core competencies of a recreational therapist and what kind of education, certifications, and those types of things, foundational knowledge, did we have to learn to become recreational therapists. So just in case you might not be a recreational therapist, you might be a student, you might be a person that just wants to know more about the field, but that will give you great insight into the process and what we all had to do to get to where we are now. Guys, without further ado, we're going to jump right in and talk about how to adapt activities so that they meet each client's individual's needs. Okay, so what is activity analysis? Activity analysis is the process of breaking down an activity to better understand all the skills and demands that it places on a person, both physically, cognitively, emotionally, social, spiritually. It is the behind-the-scenes work that helps a recreational therapist to determine whether an activity is appropriate for a client's goals and outcomes. All right, so defining activity analysis. Think of it like taking a puzzle apart piece by piece. By dissecting each step, we can figure out exactly which skills, like coordination, memory, communication, problem solving, that are needed for success. So what are some of the benefits of doing an analysis? It ensures appropriateness. We can verify if a game, exercise, or leisure pursuit is safe and meaningful for our client. It guides adaptations. Once we know the demands, we can make adjustments accordingly to maximize the therapeutic output. It prevents frustration. We often adapt or grade activities correctly. It prevents frustration. When we adapt or grade activities correctly, clients are more likely to feel successful and motivated to continue. So if you remember the model of flow while you were in school, so people will get frustrated if the activity is too hard for them or if it is not meaningful or something that they want to do. Okay, and thirdly, it is linked to therapeutic goals. So activity analysis helps you to line up interventions that are in your library. So let's say you have a bunch of interventions that you know how to do, and maybe you've already broken them down by doing activity analysis. You can determine which ones you're going to take out of that bag and you're going to bring out and use with that client to introduce those activities so that you can achieve those results with that client. So let's say they had a stroke. Your goal was to help bring mobility back to the right hand. Okay, so we might start with a left-handed activity, and then we might start gradually working on finger strength. We might work on coordination, grasping things on a table, like maybe a board game like chess or checkers. We might work on various movements that the person might have to do, like hitting a balloon up in the sky. And what that does is it creates a neural pathways in the brain called neuroplasticity, thus helping bring back that body part back to life. So part of the activity analysis helps us to determine which activity will best achieve that result, and will that client actually do the exercise because they actually find it enjoyable. All right, so without this detailed breakdown, we'd just be guessing what a person actually wants, and we wouldn't be able to meet the client's needs appropriately. But with activity analysis, every choice we make can be more intentional and more effective. So now we're going to talk about the steps in the activity analysis process. Let's walk through some basic steps of analyzing activity. We'll use simple painting as an example. So first step, we're going to identify the activity and its purpose. We're going to start by asking, what are we doing and why? If we choose painting, is our goal to improve fine motor skills, self-expression, or maybe emotional regulation? Then step 2 would be breaking down the components. Okay, what are the physical demands of doing this painting? Do they have to have a certain amount of grip strength in their fingers? Do they have to have a certain amount of upper body movement capabilities to reach the canvas, hand-eye coordination? They might have to, what cognitive demands might they be facing? So are they going to have to decide about colors, problem solving if paint spills, like what happens when it falls on the ground, and sequencing steps from start to finish. Social emotional demands. If the group's in a group painting session, do clients interact? Do they talk to each other? Do they help each other when they're stuck? How do we handle frustration and competitiveness? We've got to determine that as well. So step number 3, assess the client's specific needs and their strengths. So compare the activity's demands to the client's current ability levels. For someone with limited upper body mobility, for instance, you might need an easel of a specific height. You might need something to help bring somebody back who has a low attention span. How do we get them back to the activity? We might have to create shorter sessions with step-by-step cues to help somebody with that attention deficit. So adaptation and grading would be the next step. So adapt the tools. So for instance, somebody might not be able to grasp their fingers closed like this, but what you might be able to do is take some duct tape or some foam, etc., put it around the handle, and now the handle's this thick. And now when they paint, they have a handle that they can actually grasp. That's a way to adapt a simple paintbrush. We might pre-sketch the outline of what they're going to paint. So now that they know, okay, I have this outline of a castle, and now I'm going to have to paint this castle. So now I know, okay, in this spot I want this color, in this spot I want this color. You might be able to adapt the environment even. Good lighting so that they can actually see what they're doing. Accessible workstations, so if they're in a wheelchair, got to have like some room to be able for them to come on around, and all the minimized distractions. So sometimes when I paint, and I know this could be the case for a lot of you and maybe some of the other people, I like some lyrical music in the background that's soft to kind of get me in that creative mood and creative mindset. And that'll help me to achieve my most creativeness. I mean, there's got to be some people out there that could probably paint to hardcore death metal, but to me, I like my classical music. And so step number 5, we're going to document, of course, because we're always doing the API process. We're going to document and then revisit what worked, what didn't work. And then we're going to adapt what we do for that person moving forward if we choose to use this activity or if we choose to do something different because it better meets their needs. So activity analysis is cyclical. As your client changes, you revisit and refine your analysis. That's how we keep our interventions fresh and both relevant and effective. Now we're going to talk about some practical tips and real-world examples. So let's talk about how an activity analysis applies to real RT settings. 1, we'll talk about short sessions and big impact. Even with a quick 20-minute session of a board game like checkers, for instance, you can benefit from activity analysis. Are we building turn-taking skills? Are we improving visual scanning? Or practicing decision-making? Once you identify these targets, you can adapt how to present the game. Maybe use larger checker pieces, add a simple social prompts, for instance. You can pair it with other therapies. So in a physical rehab context, you might coordinate with physical and occupational therapy, and you might have, let's say the goal is to work on upper body range of motion. You might select a painting activity that encourages reaching forward, reaching out, closely aligning with PT objectives. You might use interests as a motivation. So the things that people like to do, typically they're more likely to do. right, than the things that they won't like to do. If your client loves music, for instance, consider a drumming or rhythm-based activity. After you break down its components, you'll see that it improves coordination, listening skills, social interaction if done in a group. By aligning it with the client's passion, you can boost engagement and outcomes. So that's why on our assessments, we always ask the patient, what is it that you like to do? So that we can kind of think, okay, if they're into this sort of thing, what can we do in this realm that'll help improve this outcome? Okay, so safety and risk management. Always consider potential hazards. For instance, if you're leading an outdoor gardening activity, analyze the physical demands of bending, reaching down, putting your hands in the dirt. Have adaptations ready for those things that you can anticipate, and like raised garden beds, for instance, or standing benches. I've seen clients who thought they could never actually do an activity, but light up when it's adapted just right to their needs. That's the magic of activity analysis. Here's some wrap up and key takeaways. In summary, activity analysis breaks down every aspect of an activity, the physical, cognitive, social, and emotional demands. By identifying demands and adapting and grading, we help clients succeed by pursuing meaningful goals. Real-world adaptation is endless. From painting to board games to sports to community outings, the world is your oyster. All right, that's it for week number 3 of the Smart Start Recreational Therapy Insights YouTube channel. I hope this helps you understand how crucial activity analysis is for the recreational therapist in person-centered care. If you have any examples or questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to respond. Or you can email me at nathan@smartcusub.com. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this channel so that you can continue getting videos like this every single week on your subscribe page of your YouTube. And we're going to keep doing this. We're going to have guests on. We're going to have different people talking, so it's not just me the whole time. But we're going to see what we can do to help have these videos and skills accessible to recreational therapists everywhere. Without further ado, guys, I hope you have a good rest of the week. Tune in next week on Monday, and I'll see you right here. And as always, recreational therapists, stay classy.